Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF62 7EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You can even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248. Well, hello there. I am back once again with another episode for you guys truly. And of course, if you don't know who I am, I'm Reece Steens of Creative Space Podcast. How are you guys doing today? You keeping well? Is everything going right for you? Are the stars lining? Are the planets lining up for you? Are the stars twinkling out for you? Is the sun shining where you are? I hope everyone is keeping well and keeping safe. Thank you so much for the support as always, guys. I really appreciate it. I feel like I haven't expressed it enough if I haven't, but if I have, I gotta keep going and showing my appreciation. But on this episode today, I have none other than Neil Fallon of Clutch on this podcast episode today. And we go through many things about music, about heavy metal, how we, start when it comes to singing, how he and some heavy metal singers who try to keep up with their singing today, how they look after themselves, exercising, vocal warm-ups, etc. We talk about the history of Clutch, how they started and how they're doing now, and the gratitude of their fans. There's just so much to cover and go through. And without further ado, I just want to get into it. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It's me and Neil Fallon of Clutch on Creative Space Podcast. So where are you based at the moment? Is it Maryland, is it?
Correct. Yeah, I'm at home right now in Silver Spring, Maryland, and the band is based at a town in Frederick, Maryland. I live in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. That's probably the most well-known geographic reference I can give you.
It's fine if it's like a lot of people will say to me about Wales. It's like, oh, where you from? Like, oh, I'm from a town called Barry, which is like about 5 or 6 miles out of the main capital of the country. And then people would, like, most people who are not familiar with Wales would go, oh, Wales, is that in England? And I'm going, oh, no.
Yeah. Don't kick that hornet's nest. I know a lot of Welsh.
Oh man, I'm glad you do. Happy days. I'm
Actually
positive.
somewhere my friend Jim Bob Isaac, who's done he's from Swansea.
Oh, never.
Yeah, he's done a lot of artwork for Clutch. And
Oh,
somewhere in my house, I haven't put it up since we moved a couple years ago. He gave me a flag of whales,
my man.
and on the evening, he also gave us lava bread and cockle shells to snack on. And I put it in the refrigerator in the bus and forgot about it, and discovered what cockle shells will smell like in about a week when left unattended.
That's awesome. That is. Oh, happy days. That's absolutely awesome. Well, one of the things I was going to ask you is, of course, I do. One of the things I always try to do when it comes to this podcast, when I get many guests on, whether it be actors or singers or etc., I always try to avoid cliche questions. You know, questions like, "Oh, how did you get into the music industry? How did you get into this? How did you get into that?" And but then again, it's like, um, well, I got to ask that cliche question in order to get into the questions that you probably, hopefully, haven't been asked before. So let's see if my job as a researcher has been justified here. But how did you get how did music become part of your life? What was it that um what was the song, what were the songs or singers or whatever that made you go, oh my God, I love music. I want to be part of that world.
Um, well, I mean, like a lot of people, first it was default my parents' record collection, listening to that, and it was not a lot of surprises there. It was the
Mm,
Fleetwood Mac and Bob Dylan and the Beatles and all the heavy hitters of the '60s and '70s, and then became an adolescent and discovered hardcore and punk rock,
mm,
and was fortunate enough to grow up in Washington D.C. or around it, which has a legendary uh, punk scene, with Discord and Minor Threat. And I think it was probably seeing the Bad Brains when I was about 17 years old that I realized that music in a live setting such as that was much more than just, bobbing your head. It was, you could compare it to almost like a religious experience. And I just
mm,
wanted, and then, I wasn't really academically inclined or certainly not athletically inclined. Like a lot of people just found a group of friends to hang out with that also enjoyed that music.
mm,
And, but as far as being in a band, I kind of came upon that by accident. I
mm,
didn't really pursue that. I think I had it hammered into my head that that wasn't a viable career option. That only fools would do that, and I kind of just did it on a lark. And
mm,
I liked writing lyrics and kind of taught myself how to sing on stage. I didn't really ever take lessons until recently. So, and I will say this: John Paul and Tim, those are the guys that we knew in high school that said, "Oh, I'm going to be in a band." They had that determination that, frankly, I think I kind of rode on their coattails a lot of it in a lot of ways.
mm. Do you know when it comes to singing, when it is like punk rock and heavy metal, etc., how do singers, especially in heavy metal, maintain such strong vocal cords and diaphragms? Or what is it that you guys in that sort of genre or um, part of the world you sing for, etc.? I know there's probably various other genres that you'd be categorized in, but how do those singers maintain such strong voices? What I'm trying to say.
It I didn't really give that much thought until I got older, in my 40s. Like you can bounce back pretty easy from anything in your 20s.
Mm,
But singing I think, is the most physical, in that your instrument is your body. I'm not saying, sure, guitars and drums, require movement, but there's an external instrument. Um, I think, have to just be really aware of health.
mm,
Uh, you can't, sure, there was a time where I could go out to the bar after the show and drink and do that, but I can't do that anymore. You have to uh, treat your vocal cords like the fragile instrument that it is. Sure, there are times where my voice gets blown out, but I do a lot of exercises. I only started doing that in about 6 years ago. Vocal warm ups, even vocal cool downs after the show. I hate doing it; it's a pain, but it helps out in the long run.
Mm.
And it's usually like he's singing falsetto scales. It sounds nothing like you would think. Um, but um, I also found that early on when I wasn't too concerned with pitch, I thought that was like, oh, that's commercial. You don't, who wants to have a melody? You're supposed to be punk rock and aggressive and just scream. But when I started trying to do melodies and being cognizant of pitch, I found that that was much more fatiguing on the voice because you're trying to maintain a pitch,
Mm.
and that's tough. When I see people like Pavarotti or even Celine Dion, even though that music isn't my bag, I'm still floored at the ability to kind of do that.
Yeah. Because I was listening to a podcast that had James Hetfield on, and even he said as well that you got to have he has trainers now who come with him on tour, help him with his body, help him with vocal warm-ups, exercises, and he said it's main crucial now, and it's more advocated now than what it was possibly back then, where it's just one of those things where, well, if you want to keep going, that's what you got to do. And I learned that as well from musical theater as well.
Yeah, it's a physical thing. It really is, and especially when you have someone who's playing stadiums like that where the shows can be upwards of 2 hours. Um, Someone like I don't know, Mick Jagger,
Mm.
who does these marathon shows and is burning more calories in a set than most people do in a week. He also has probably a small army of doctors and masseuses and I don't know, a blood bank, uh, uh, along with the ride to keep going.
Yeah,
Um,
and along with 100 million kids he's probably got as well.
yeah, it's like a daycare center in the front row.
And then, but this is the important question now for you though, Neil, and I've put this down. It's very important. How did you maintain such an awesome beard?
Laziness. Uh, honestly, it just started out with like not shaving because I just was not shaving, and then then we had the song "Burning Beard," and then it
Yeah.
kind of became like this theme thing, and um, there's been a couple times where I've shaved it off and was berated,
Yeah. No, I get
um,
that.
and honestly, it's like I've had it so long, you know, what lies beneath, I don't even want to see it anymore.
No, no. It's so funny because well, how old did you start noticing that you were growing a beard? What was the age that you thought, oh shit, I'm actually
Probably 97. So I was probably in my mid late 20s.
Mm.
Um, it's one of those weird things where it's like as soon as the hair starts falling out up top, it started growing out here.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so um yeah, it was probably around 2000 and it came and went.
yeah, yeah.
Now it's been here for quite some time.
Because I started noticing I was getting a beard when I was 16, 17, very early on. Because
Mm.
my hair is very thick and it's got black, so it was going to happen at the front. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, Reese is growing a beard," and I started shaving it constantly because I was like, "No, I want to stay, young." Being 16, 17, like, "No, I got to stay young." And then, what was it? I was going through a period where I was taking drama in one of the courses, and I was like, I'm going to be a method actor, and and one of the parts that I got, it was like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I was playing the Native American, the chief, and I was like,
Yep.
well, I can't go, you know, spitting out chants and putting on all these things. I'll grow a beard. Don't know why, but I'll grow a beard. And then it just no, it wasn't that. It was the Crucible. That was it, the Crucible, and that's when I grew the beard. And then it just stuck ever since. And every time my fiance just looks at me and I says, right, I'm gonna shave my beard now. I'm gonna proper clean shave it. She's like, yeah, you're a fucking child. No.
Yeah.
Even though
Yeah.
I'm older than her, I'm like, no, she's like, no, you make me look like a pervert, and I'm like, oh, okay, fucking hell.
Yeah, it does kind of like look like a turtle out of its shell when it
Yeah.
goes.
And so you mentioned as well, It's like in the 90s, obviously. What was it, like 1991 that Clutch started, but you didn't join them until, I think, what was it, like a few months later or sometime down the line early on. Is that right
Yeah,
in saying?
that's yeah. Well, we had different bands in high school, like maybe two or three of them, and all equally as terrible. But you got to start somewhere. And
Yeah.
then I went off to college, and JP and Tim and Dan started a band with a different singer who couldn't do a couple shows for whatever reason, and they asked me to fill in, and it was supposed to be like a temporary thing, and here we are 30 years later. Um, so uh, that band, I think, really going out. It was called Glut Trip, and then we renamed it Clutch because we I don't know, just decided to rename it. So yeah, that's the Genesis story.
The Genesis. When and you mentioned as well when you said growing when you grew up being you in in your 20s, and it was like 1997. I didn't know if I felt appropriate to say, well, I was born in 1996, and that would have been
Yeah,
like, oh, fuck.
yeah, it
Well,
happens.
yeah. I mean, I've heard some of your I've heard most of your songs in and out growing up. I'm very eclectic when it comes to music. It's weird. If you have a look at my Spotify playlist, it will go from, I don't know, like a nice 1980s song classic, and then it'll go into like a probably one of the numbers from Guys and Dolls the musical, and then it'll jump straight into Metallica for Now That We're Dead, and it's just one of those weird eclectic moments. But I've had most of these songs growing up, and one of them was, obviously I got to mention, is Electric Worry,
Mm.
and it's, from what I've noticed on YouTube, Spotify, etc., it's the most popular song of Clutch. And I wanted to know the story behind Electric Worry. And also, did you guys, probably not, like any other song, you think, oh, it's nice, we're creating a song, let's just give it to the world. But did you guys feel like, this has got potential to be big?
I've never been able to like discern what would be popular or not. It's like, for lack of a better phrase, it's always like throwing shit over the fence to see where it lands. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
if we like it, that's good enough excuse.
Mhm.
I think that's Clutch fans. I think can sense the sincerity of that we're going to put it out. I think premeditating a song for uh, its fan responses can be disingenuous. Um, that song, it started out uh, with I was trying to learn a song by Mississippi Fred McDowell called. There's a couple different iterations of it. One is Fred's Worried Life Blues, and that's like the guitar theme and the lyrics that that's straight up lifted from that song, which, to be fair, we acknowledged in the liner notes and in the publishing. Uh, so it started off as that, and I forget exactly who or how the rest of the song came to be, but I do remember thinking, wow, this is a much more blues, straight up traditional blues song than we've ever done. And even thought for a moment maybe it shouldn't go on the record,
Mhm.
um, which would have been foolish. But like I said, I've never had the ear to decide, make those decisions. Kind of trust. That's one of the roles I think of a producer is can be an outside opinion who isn't as biased, because you can fall in love with a riff that for all the wrong reasons. Maybe you think it's clever because it's in an odd time signature, but it's annoying and no one wants to hear it. Um, so it's good to have a producer to kind of express his or her opinion about a song and take their word on it. You have to kind of trust them. And that was Joe Barisi in that particular instance.
Mhm. So when Electric Worry came out and the success that followed, were you guys like, yeah, awesome, I'm glad you guys like it? Was you surprised, or were you like, yeah, cool, fair play?
Um, you know, I don't know, I guess I haven't given it much thought. I think, a band like Clutch, it's not like we're being played on mainstream
Mm,
terrestrial radio. So to have something that kind of, for lack of a better word, is a hit that happened organically, without it being shoved down people's throats is um, it's gratifying.
mm,
And I don't, there are Clutch fans who see us a lot of times who might grow weary of hearing that song every night. I don't get tired of it. If the worst thing I have to do all day is play a 4-minute rock song, that's a pretty damn good deal.
mm.
When I see we go to a foreign, like we go to Greece, and I see young kids who are younger than the song itself singing along with it, that's pretty freaking awesome.
Mm.
I love that, and I'd never. I mean, I could see how some you can grow weary of it, in some ways, if you just had that one song that everyone wanted to hear. But thankfully, we have some other songs that people like as well.
Mm. Is is there a pet peeve of yours in the music world that you have issues with?
uh I'm sure there's loads, but it's the thing is that I, at this point in my life, I look at the glass as being half full. To be able to eke out a living and in the creative arts is a pretty rare thing. And I'm incredibly grateful for it, because that's what I always wanted to do in some capacity in creative arts, whatever that means. Um, I guess, if there's a pet peeve, it would be the flip side of that. When I see bands bemoaning uh, having to play a festival,
Mm.
or just bitching about catering. Shut up. You got it. You got it made, man.
Yeah,
This is a great life, and you should be you're you're lucky to be here. And um, I mean, I didn't feel that way when I was in my 20s, because, like most 20-year-olds, I was full of myself. But as every years go on, I appreciate this situation where I either have to write music or perform it. Sure, there's other stuff, but that's the meat and potatoes of it, and that's pretty rad.
yeah. I mean, people are going to complain about catering and everything about the food or something. There's always a phone call away from a Domino's pizza or something. If you,
Yeah, I mean, there's the music industry does, if you have a hungry ego, it is happy to feed that ego.
mm,
And you you can live in a bubble when you really honestly can be led to believe that you and your music are the center of the universe. Um, Fact of the matter is, these days, rock and roll isn't that big of a deal anymore. Yeah, I hate to say, I mean, it seems that way when you go to like Donington or Hellfest or a big festival, and there's thousands of people there. But if you look at what people listen to globally, rock doesn't even chart.
mm,
Um, so it's a little niche, um, world that can seem like it's the center of the universe, but it's not. I mean, I'm not saying trivializing it. I love it, but it's important to keep perspective, I think.
yeah. It's interesting because a friend of mine, Lewis Arnold, he's into his metal. He's into he loves it more than I do, and we obviously we done a lot of acting together, and we're fortunate enough now that we're going to London to have one of my plays on,
Oh,
um,
nice.
in it's maybe a small theater, but to me, London is like fucking
Is it
hell.
a play that you wrote?
Is that?
A play that you wrote?
Yeah, a play that I wrote. Yeah.
Nice.
A play that I wrote, and it's all about men's mental health, and it's all about the importance of friendship and everything. It's called Talk, and my friend, my best mate Lewis, I mean, he's been in practically nearly, I'd say, about two or three of my plays, and one of the, and we're going to London. But I remember him and I were at rehearsals once, and we were sat there before rehearsals began, and because we were waiting for like, one or two more people, and he just turned to me and went, "It's so fucking mad." And I went, "Why? What's the matter?" He went, well, you went, just think a few years ago, we were before like COVID and anything like that. we were we did a comedy play, and it's in a 50-seated theater for 3 days, 3 nights even. First night, half of the people turned up, and then the second night, only four turned up out of 50. He went,
Yeah,
"That is mad." And I was like, "Yeah, we're set to go if our egos are going to be okay if we make it." And
yeah,
he was
it's
like,
it's
"Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah." Well, he was like, "Yeah, we're going to be okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
that's I've often think about that sometimes. Like sometimes, like having like if you're a young band or artist, whatever, and your first taste of this world, it's like let's say you right out of the gates you have a huge hit,
Mm,
and you're in tour buses and jets and stadiums and all the things that come with that. If that bar gets set so high, you are set for a world of disappointments
mm,
as you go on in life. It's uh it's good to like be in the van. It's good to like have to pee in a Gatorade bottle so because you can't stop because you're only got so many hours to get to the next gig. It's crappy hotels and nights when there's more people on stage than are in the audience.
mm,
Um, that's one thing about a band. It's like you can lean on each other or you can fight each other. Thankfully, we leaned on each other. I don't envy people like comedians who
mm,
do this by themselves, solo, touring, and having a bad night, a rough gig, and then having to go back to the hotel and the casino by yourself. That can be a dark world, but it'll give you thick skin. I used to
mm.
care a lot about what people thought after you know after opening for Iron Maiden. You got to have like emotional suit of armor that you can
Yeah.
take on and off. Um, so it's been a good, well, a crucible is a good term for it, you know.
Mm. I think I'm grateful as well because we're going to London for a couple of days. Even, I mean, it's like we're performing for only 2 days, but still, it's like that's amazing, to
Yeah,
do
it
it.
is. It is good on you. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know the first thing about writing a play, but I think doing anything creatively and following through and actually having the your vision manifest, whether it be sculpture or dance or
Mm,
music, is like one of the most special, like that's like a human sacrament. I mean, that's like what makes us people, I think.
yeah. Yeah. Have a heart, have a soul, and I said to the boys, because there's me and two others, and obviously my friend Jamie McShee, who's going to be our lighting tech guy. I said there's only four of us, and what was it? I said to the boys, listen, if no tickets were sold for our play, just remember this: we got 4 days in London to enjoy ourselves and get
Oh,
pissed, right?
yeah.
And we all went, yeah, that is good. I was like, there's always a silver lining, and that's why I'm trying now to find silver linings in every situations of life. It's like, right, you've got a setback, but let's try and look at the positive. Where's the positive? So like, oh, my play hasn't sold many tickets. It only has like two or three people. Well, that's okay. We'll perform in front of the two or three people, but we can look forward to that trip to London, though, can we? And they were like, oh yeah, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, you don't know who those two or three people are. I mean,
Exactly.
I always tell myself like that's another pet peeve. When I see a band get on stage and act disappointed because the turnout's low, I mean, how insulting is that for the people that did show up?
Yeah.
And you don't know who they are. I mean, you can look at it from a selfish point of view and say maybe this person, writes for, is a reviews playbill. I don't know. Or, but more importantly, you only have a chance for one first impression.
Mm,
And when I see like a 15-year-old kid, not only may this be the first time he or she has seen Clutch, this may be the first time they've ever been to a rock show.
mm,
And you have been put in the position of introducing them to what a show is. It's vital to treat every show, whether it be 5 people or 50,000, like it's the most important show you've ever done.
yeah.
You might feel like shit. Maybe you don't even want to play, but you got to fake your way through it.
Oh no, exactly. And then going back what I was saying about the play that we performed in front of four people, I remember Me and Lewis, we did our bows, and we said to the four people in the theater, we've hoped you enjoyed your VIP treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they all started laughing because they knew, but fair play. And I went, no, but we said thank you so much for coming. We hope you enjoyed your VIP treatment. Happy days. We hope you have a good time. And that was it. But we left the moaning after the theater stuff was done. We went, it's tough and we learned from it exactly, but we still went down because what we did was after the theater show, we got changed and we went down the road to a pub and we sat there and we did feel deflated. We did feel like, oh, it could have been done better. My friend Lewis was beating himself up because he felt like, oh, I should have done that better. And I was like, oh, we could have had more people. But then at the same time, we looked at each other and went, it's a learning lesson. Those four people
You can
came,
always do something different.
yeah,
That's another thing it's good to have train wrecks sometimes.
yeah. Because how can you
Uh,
learn from it then? You
yeah,
know?
I find like if I start daydreaming, that's when the horror shows start. But if it's good to I think it's good to have stage fright. I think it's healthy. It's good to fuck up because then you start paying attention more. And how else are you going to learn? I mean, it's like lifting weights. You have to have resistance. You
Yeah.
can't, if it's easy, you're not going to grow. If it's easy, who gives a shit? It's the challenge.
Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF62 7EB, or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 94248. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.vailejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@vailejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248. You know what? You mentioned Iron Maiden doing an opening for them, and I was just gonna say my first ever concert was Iron Maiden, and
Mm.
that was what was it about 2000? I'm saying it 2019, but the only reason I say that is because I went to my first ever concert and it happened to be Maiden, but it was the day after the bombings of Manchester at an Ariana Grande concert, and I've never seen so many 6'5" built like wrestlers, police officers with big assault rifles, and I'm like, damn, this is real. But then Maiden just rocked it. It's so magical how you can go into a concert and all the world problems just disappear because Bruce Dickinson's there going, we're gonna rock the fuck out of this.
Yeah. And we only did like 7 shows with them, but it was like the first tour that Dickinson had done with them in quite some time,
Mm,
like years and years in the United States. So when we got up on stage, the Iron Maiden fans, didn't matter who was opening up. They wanted nothing to do with them.
mm.
They just bring on Maiden. And
Yeah.
so, you sit up there for half an hour, 40, the longest 40 minutes you've ever experienced of, a sea of middle fingers. Yeah, that's okay. That we got to open for Iron Maiden. What would I mean? Who gets to say? There's not a lot of people who can say that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I, that's a. I always remember. I sometimes when we do our headlining shows, they're a lot easier because people know want to see us. They know the material, and I'll play a head game with myself and I'll say we're opening up for somebody, even though we're not, because that underdog mentality, I think, adds a feet like a feet like a hunger uh, to want to upstage them or just do the damn best you can, um, even though that's maybe a fiction. It helps me out um, because it's would be terrible to become complacent because the room is sold out and everyone is already having a good time. You still need to kind of grab the bull by the horns.
Mm. What was it like to be around Iron Maiden and opening up for them?
We didn't. I mean, they kept to themselves.
Right.
It was one of the things I liked about them, and one of the cool things about opening for any band uh, is there's a lot of stagecraft that goes on in like that kind of metal. Behind the scenes, it is musical theater in some ways, where Eddie would come out, who's a guy on stilts and battles Bruce Dickinson, or there's pyro and a lot of moving parts, and to watch this thing happen without anyone dying is pretty remarkable. And Bruce Dickinson, he's like this kind of superhero in a way,
Mm.
flying in between, flying the band. He's the pilot, and he's also practicing his fencing and developing a comic book all in the same day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. You have to have, I guess, have like a super type A personality to do that. I'd rather sit in a hammock.
Just brewing a beer and wine as well.
Yeah,
It's
but
like, dude, how? In in your 30 plus years with Clutch, was there any stories that you can tell that involved a concert or a tour that went wrong in some ways? That like I said about talking about learning, but was there ever a part where something during a concert went wrong or wild, etc.?
um, sure. I mean, there's been people have been injured. I mean, in nightclubs when there's a lot of alcohol involved, things go sideways usually. And I think my tolerance for that is I don't notice them as much, and that's probably not a good thing. Um, they I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, this is something that could have gone a lot worse, but didn't. Um, we were on tour with Mastodon years and years ago, and we had a van and a box truck for the gear, and the crew was driving the box truck, and we were driving to Lawrence, Kansas. They were ahead of us by a couple hours, and the box truck rolled several times into a ditch and basically exploded. And one of our guys was in the back of the box truck on road cases on a sleeping bag and woke up in a field under the stars of Kansas. When the cops rolled up, they assumed everyone in the box truck was dead because of the state of the truck. Um, Thankfully, no one was dead, and no one was actually really injured except for abrasions. And when the van arrived at the shop or wherever it was at, I saw the state of this truck. I just broke down in tears.
Hmm.
Just nauseous. And then, believe it or not, those guys, we rented another box truck that morning. And they put all that gear in there that was still covered in grass and mud. Um, and they put it in a box truck. They got back in the box truck and drove to Lawrence, Kansas, and we arrived half an hour before our set. And in a lot of ways, that was one of the more meaningful shows we ever did, because it was like when you get a glimpse of it all getting taken away, it
Mm.
really makes you appreciate, you know, what you have.
Yeah.
And there's been other things, there's been, um, uh, I think we did a show in France maybe about a week after um, the attacks there. I forget what year that was. Um, at the Eagles of Death Metal concert, and that was one of the first shows in Paris after that, and there was this palpable energy of "fuck you, we're gonna have a good time,"
Mm.
and that was similar in some ways. It's like, wow, it's so fragile, and when you get a glimpse of it all getting taken away, you really um, appreciate it.
Mm.
I know that's morbid, but that's part of life.
Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, moving on to like this is another the opposite then. So, has there been like a memorable moment for you being part of Clutch during a concert, etc., where it's like, man, I really enjoyed that, and this moment cherishes in my mind. It will never go away.
Oh man, there's a lot of those. There's there can be like the selfish thing. Like I remember we were playing in London and we were opening for Motorhead, and Brian May from Queen watched our set, and I kind of like had to I had to ignore him because I was kind of freaking out. Um, and I kind of had to take a step back, and I was like, wow, I wish I could tell my 14-year-old self that this is going to be something you do, because that seems so improbable. These people that we put on pedestals and you hear on the radio, well, they're just people, and they show up and they listen to music. But I had to pinch myself thinking the series of events that needed to happen to make me arrive at that spot,
Mm.
and and be able to acknowledge it, how rare and awesome that was. And then there's also simple stuff like looking out at a crowd and you see clearly there's a parent with their child and they're both singing the lyrics. That's really freaking cool.
Mm.
I know people have met their spouses at our shows and now bring their kids. I mean, if you've been for 30 years, these things happen. But that's there's also, we once did a gig uh above the Arctic Circle in Norway, playing under the midnight sun. I mean, like the improbability of that is what's special. And that's I could go on and on about these things, but it's more often than not, it's very simple things.
Yeah.
Even meeting someone who says, "Hey, you don't know me, but I was going through a particular bad time in my life, and your music saved me." Without any going into details, like maybe they were having a crisis of some sort, and music, our music, and probably there's no doubt other music helped bridge the gap.
Yeah.
That's that's amazingly special.
That it's things like that that just make it worthwhile. Like, yeah, this is worth it. Music is worth it. Our band is worth it. If things like that come along, where it says, "Look, I met my girlfriend or boyfriend there. You say, music saved my life. I'm bringing my kid to see, the
Yeah, yeah.
heroes," and it's like,
Those are the real gold records.
oh yeah,
I don't have any, but I would value I would still value that more than a Grammy on my mantle. Not that I'm
oh
ever
yeah,
gonna, but that's just a thing. Those when it's like throwing a pebble in a pond and the ripples go out in a positive way. That positivity or whatever will go elsewhere after we're dead and gone, and that's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Do you know what? That's going to be sound more worth it than my dad. He always says to me, "Hey, Reese, you went to a rave," and I was like, "Shut." I was like, what are you talking about? And he went, you were conceived in a rave. And I was like, thanks, I'm a rave kid. Thanks.
Nice.
Yeah, and then he goes, "Oh yeah, you went to your first rave in 1995." I was like, What? It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Watch now. In my own autobiography in the future, it'll be like, yep, I was conceived in a rave, and apparently I'm a rave baby, quote unquote, by my father, Dennis Deans. Cheers, pal.
That's good.
But yeah. Um, I was listening to one of the songs, and obviously "Fortunate Son" was one of the songs that you covered. Did you have to get? Obviously, I take it you had to get permission to get to make your own version.
No, no one
No?
has no one has to do that ever. Any artist can uh, perform a song live or record it. There's nothing stopping someone from covering a Clutch song right now. What happens is the publishing. Like you if you cover a song, it happens automatically. I mean, we don't have to write John Fogerty checks, but if there's money that gets generated from that, it's going to go to whoever owns the publishing of that song. But um, there's no law internationally for to cover that. You would have to ask permission prior.
Hmm. Oh, fair enough. I didn't know that. I'm learning stuff every day now. This is the thing. That's why I do this podcast because I
It's
learn stuff.
a weird, it's publishing's a kind of a weird world. That's a bit of a dinosaur in some ways, but like Electric Worry, that was, you know, we probably could have gotten away with not giving the publishing or a portion of it to someone else, but I felt that was dishonest because
Mm,
it straight up came from that source, and I had this vision that maybe 4 times a year one of um, Mississippi Fred McDowell's great grandchildren gets a little bit of money. No, what happened? Someone bought that publishing, and the person that owns that publishing now is Chris Christopherson, who owns a bunch of other old blues, catalogs. So we make Chris Christopherson a little bit of money every year.
mm.
So it's weird, but it's true.
Um, I always wanted to know this, and I was supposed to ask because I had Martin Martinick from Accept last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I should have asked him, so I'll probably ask you. But what is the difference in terms of music that you did in the, not you per se, but music in the 90s and to music now? What is the difference in your opinion?
I will say in some regards, there's no difference. I think music is fundamentally human, and until we evolve, it's always going to be the same. I think there'll always be the compulsion to see live music, um, it, and genres, kind of intermingle, and change. And then there's purists. Like heavy metal is incredibly conservative. It's not a very. I mean, there's some bands that kind of push the limit. But I will say this, and it's a double-edged sword. If there's a bigger difference between then and now, it has to do with the this laptop that's in front of me right now.
Mm,
The ability to record the things I have, like right now, I have a Logic session open. If I had the same thing in the early '90s, it would be like $200,000 worth of gear that I would need to do what is actually costing me probably less than $200. That's great because it makes it accessible to a lot of people who in the '90s would have never been able to afford that.
mm,
The flip side of that is that a lot of music, including metal, uses basically stock sounds. Um, I hear it a lot in pop music, where the production, the technology, I think, can be a crutch to good songwriting. Like, oh, I could just drag this loop in, or I can drag in this pre-recorded sample of horns or whatever, and then put my voice through a vocoder, and then I have a stock hit. It's a lot like Muzak back in the '60s. Um, I don't know if that was a thing in the UK, but it was here. Um, so I, but then again, kids will still get together in a garage and drive their parents crazy with a real set of drums.
Mm.
I don't ever think that's going to go away. I think uh, one, but here's another pet peeve is, the use of a laptop is, I can understand, like in electronic dance music or rave or hip hop. Sure, you're going to need a computer to create an 808 kick drum sound. I get that. But when I see rock bands where most of the stuff coming out of the PA is pre-recorded tracks, I think that can be, maybe a lie is too strong of a term, but
Devaluing, would you say?
yeah, it's devaluing. It's not a live performance. Um, and I mean, I remember it's probably before your time. There was this band Milli Vanilli back in the late '80s,
Yeah,
early
yeah.
'90s, and they
Oh,
got
wait a minute.
busted. They
Yeah,
were
yeah,
they were lip syncing. They couldn't sing a damn, and they got destroyed by the press, and they never showed their faces. I think one of them actually took his own life. It's very sad. That's how brutal the press was. Now, artists backing tracks fail, and it's like, oh well. It kind of bums me out. It's like, well, I've seen that happen on stage, and I feel bad for those people, but at the same time, you're asking for it sometimes.
yeah. Because when you Milli Vanilli, what was the band name called? I keep mispronouncing their names. Then what was the one you were saying in the 80s?
Oh, Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, Milli Vanilli.
I
Were they
thought they
kind
were
of?
Dutch.
Yeah, and they won a Grammy as well for. I don't know what the
Yeah,
song was called. They won a Grammy. They won everything. It was like the you
they
couldn't
look
get
like
so higher,
yeah, they
so
look
high.
like male models, and I thought, I don't remember the song, and then it came out that they couldn't sing a damn. It was all fake. It was someone
Yeah,
else singing. Um,
because they
and
got caught out live on air, like the live performance. That was
yeah,
when it was the like downfall.
hmm and that happened. I think that's happened before, and I can't think of who happened. But now there seems to be an acceptance of that.
Hmm.
Um, maybe the heavy metal is less forgiving for that, but I think fans would be surprised how many bands have Steve Jobs as a shadow member of their rock outfit. I can see, I'll
Yes.
be backstage and I'll see these laptops running with tracks, and okay, if that's what you got to do, but I wouldn't find that very satisfying. I would rather make an honest mistake by fucking up a guitar part than having my computer crash.
Yeah. Because I just I don't know if it's me because I get this argument I have with my uncle and he's like, yeah, but I've always been very not anti-technology, but I'm very, a little bit far back. I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, which is may seem basic. He's like, how can you not do that? You mean you should be doing this like you're opening a door with a key. So simple. Why aren't you doing it? I'm like, because I'm not like I don't like the technology that we're going for. It's like now Sony have announced that they're stopping physical copies of DVDs and CDs, etc. And I'm just like, why? Why? That's the
Yeah.
bread and butter. And and it's so weird because you got a company like Sony doing that. Yeah, we are in the music world, people are going out and buying record vinyls, which were extremely massive, obviously in the 20th century. Um, and yeah, there was a dip because of the introductions of downloads and CDs, etc. Now they're just back on top, and I'm like, well, I feel like that's what's going to happen, a big U-turn where DVDs and I will come back, and it's just again, if like you said, fans can make fans will forgive you if you make an honest mistake on stage with your instrument, but if you're having a technological problem and it's like, well, that ain't genuine.
Yeah, it's one thing. Yeah, it's like when an amp blows up. That's part of the live experience.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what makes it exciting is the risk involved. if it's pre-recorded, there's no risk involved, and um, it's almost like in things become so virtual, they become disposable in a lot of ways. It doesn't have the value. Um, like I that going back to talking about the Bad Brains that I saw. I remember that show
Mm.
from 1988 very well. I can't tell you what it was I saw on my phone an hour. Like, it doesn't matter. It's disposable. It's
Yeah.
virtual. It didn't involve all the senses. Yeah. That's another thing. It's like when you have these experiences, you get stimulated, and all your smell, your sight, your taste, all these things get amplified, and I think that's what makes it so enjoyable.
Have you
Not so much.
ever? Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, on the phones and everything, I just feel like again, technology now takes away some of the important aspects of human nature where, a lot of people say, "Oh, you should have remembered what I sent you on a text message." No, I don't. But yeah, I'll remember Bruce Dickinson live rocking the hell out in Cardiff back in 2019 because that's the sole focus of um what I'm going to cherish. I
You
mean,
know, I don't know a lot about theater actually. For a good part of my life, I detested it because my little sister, she wanted to be in musical theater, so
mm.
she was next to me. So I listened to Annie
I,
and
I knew I had Annie in my head then.
Miss Saigon,
Yeah.
Cats, a couple others over and over and over and over again, and it drove me bonkers to think I couldn't stand it, any of it. But then my wife wanted to go see Man of La Mancha on Broadway in New York, and I was like, okay, I guess, and it blew my mind. Uh,
Mm.
Mostly because I was paying attention to the stagecraft, and it kind of dawned upon me. It's like, oh, there's all these people, even people who aren't stars, so to speak, that are working to make this experience happen. And it doesn't, the only thing at the end of the day is this entertainment. And sometimes entertainment sounds like a cheap word, but I think it could be very valuable and important to entertain someone. I don't
Mm.
know if it's so they can forget about life for a while, what it is that compels us to go see a fiction performed on stage and then walk away from it and pay money and maybe buy a t-shirt. uh it's such a surreal thing. it,
Oh
it
yeah.
makes it makes no sense why we do that, but it's so important.
Exactly. Well, it's that did you ever see the film Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner?
Yes, but so long ago, I don't remember much other than it was about baseball and
Yeah.
hoops.
But it's exactly as it was the when James Earl Jones, there was a scene where I think it was halfway through the film or coming towards the end that James Earl Jones said about people will come and they come from all corners of America and they will just pay $20 and not think about it and they'll just be swept in this world. And I'm like, well, that's exactly the same as theater. You go into the world of theater, you sit in your seat, you got the stage there, but as soon as the curtains open, come open, and the band starts playing, whether it be a musical or a play, the lights come on, this world expands, and you're taken into this world for 2 hours, and it's absolutely phenomenal. But when you mentioned about Annie, I will never forget this. Went to watch three of my cousins in a production of Annie, and I was about 6 or 7 years old. And my auntie took me. And when it finished, my auntie said, did you enjoy it?" And I was like, "No, I hated every single minute of it. What the hell is that?" I watched. And then years later, when I was 16, 17 years old, I'm playing Daddy Warbucks in a school production of Annie, and I have to look in the mirror and, with my bald head because yeah, for the art, man, for the art.
Take
She,
one for the team.
take one for the team, man. And I'm just looking at myself thinking, if only your 6-year-old self can see you now, Reese. How dare you?
Yeah, life's wild.
Yeah. man, it's so what happens in the future, not know it, and then when you look back, you think, Jesus Christ, if only, like you said, if only you can tell your younger self that this is going to happen.
Yeah. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah. Did you ever do download festival then?
Yep.
What was that experience like? I've never been to a download festival. I've, like I said, my friend Lewis went to one recently, and he said, well, you got
No,
to come to one.
it's great. Well, any festival, my favorite part is the people watching.
Mm,
It's great fun. It should be an Olympic sport at download. Um, they've been great, except the last one we did was, well, speaking of train wrecks, that was a train wreck for us. There's a sea of people. I don't know how many people are watching us, 30, 40,000 people. And it was our first show of it, or maybe it was the last show of that tour. Can't remember. But we use in-ear monitors because you kind of have to in that kind of environment. So there's the sound is coming from a radio pack into your ears, then you can hear the band. Um, for whatever reason, there was this radio frequency interference, so none of us could hear each other play. And we have these things in our ears, so not only can we not hear ourselves play because we're not getting the audio, but we have these basically earplugs. So I just kind of took mine out and listened to the drums as best I could, and we just barreled through this set. Um, I could tell that everyone in the crowd knew that this was not good, but at the same time, it's like, well, you know what? We only got a half an hour. Just it'll be over soon. Uh, and those are the things that happen. Speaking of technology failing, and
yeah.
we were still playing live. It was definitely not our best performance. It was definitely wouldn't win any awards for technical prowess. Um, but those are the things that happen. Um, all the other downloads we've done, and I think we maybe done 4 or 5, have been awesome.
See, I need to go. I need to go. My friend, again, Lewis keeps telling me, you got to come with me. You got to come with me. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll come, but I just need to save money. That's the problem. And
Get water and sunscreen,
yeah,
and
and some
it's
wellies and
yes,
some wellies and waterproof stuff. Because in the UK, oh God, our summer is just one big bipolar creep. Doesn't know when to. It's full of emotions because it could be. It's like in Wales. I mean, it's been nice and sunny now, but it's supposed to be the summer. And this week gone, we've had thunder and lightning and big heavy rain, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, bring me some sun, man. I want some sun.
yeah. We've got plenty of that. We're currently experiencing a brutal heat wave.
Yeah, it was funny because the other night we had thunder and lightning, and it was happening over our heads, and my fiance was recording it, and somehow she knew when to record the right time, so she started recording, and it was lightning, and obviously the after effect with the thunder, and all you can hear is me going what, and I went, Jesus wept, fucking hell, and couldn't pick the.
Good thunderstorms are great.
Oh, I love him, but I was asleep, and when that happened, I was like, my God, did a car blow up or something? Anyway, last question for you, Neil, and
Yeah,
thanks again for coming on the podcast. I really had fun talking to you. It was absolutely awesome.
likewise. Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. And so the last question here for you, which I've always asked my guests, is how do you look back on your career?
Um, I look back with gratitude. Uh, a lot of it could start with my parents, even though I still think they can't believe I'm in a rock band, and that's inappropriate. Um, but they gave me, a place to start, whether they like it or not. Uh, Gratitude towards my bandmates, gratitude towards my wife and child who put up with me making noise and going away for weeks and months at a time. Gratitude for our fans, without whom we wouldn't be able to do any of this. And it's been a great learning experience. I mean, you can go to school, and that's book learning is all well and good, but I think one of the best educations anyone can ever have is travel. And we get to see countries and meet people in a very real and raw way. It's not the tourist circuit, which has its merits, but to meet people in the nightclub and talk to them, maybe trying to meet a middle ground with broken English or bad Spanish or what have you, is great. To get to see the world and to walk, to eventually, we're all going to die. Not to sound, again, morbid, but it's going to happen. You want to be able to say, man, I experienced the world. I only had one life. There's only one world. I would feel really bummed out if I knew I could have and didn't. And there's still a lot more. Next week, we're going to South America for the first time, and I can't wait. The shows are going to be tiny. There's not going to be a lot of people there. I don't give a shit. I'm going to South America, and we're playing rock and roll music, and we're going to have a good time, and it's going to be awesome.
Are you looking for the perfect bracelet for a loved one? Would your man be interested in a personalized keyring from his children? Are you looking for the best priced jewelry, whether it be a necklace, ring, earrings, bangle, or even more? Look no further than Crafted Arts. Crafted Arts is a local business based in Barry within the Vale of Glamorgan, and they have a range of all the perfect items you need. If it's for the perfect gift for an anniversary, or maybe it's for someone's birthday, maybe something for Christmas, or you wanted to give someone that perfect gift that will last a long time, Crafted Arts is the business for you. If you want to know more or see what they have in stock, then you can visit them locally at 29 High Street, Barry, Vale of Glamorgan, CF62 7EB. Or you can go onto their website at www.craftedarts.co.uk. You could even email them at info@craftedarts.co.uk, or maybe just give them a call at 07789 942 48. Trust me, it's worth it for the perfect gift. The best thing about Creative Space is that we don't just want to encourage people in being creative in TV, film, or even theatre. We also want you to be creative in a variety of other things as well. So do you want to have experience in making jewelry? Do you want to pick up a hobby but do not know what to take or where to start? Then look no further than the Vale Jewelry Workshops. Vale Jewelry Workshops provides the best experience in teaching you how to make the best sterling silver jewelry. They will help you make a range of silverware, including rings, bracelets, and many more pieces. You will learn the basic silversmith skills such as soldering, texturing, shaping, and lots more. Not only do the workshops provide the experience for adults, it also provides the best experience and fun for children as well. So if you want to learn on how to make sterling silver jewelry, and if you're very interested, go onto their website at www.valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or get in touch with them via email at info@valejewelryworkshops.co.uk or even phone them at 07789 794248.